Hey guys, welcome to Basic Teen TV. My name is Melissa.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Cindy.
And Basic Teen TV is a weekly podcast. I'm just going to gloss over it. We didn't hear that. Weekly podcast where we are going through some like 90s teen TV dramas. The first show that we're talking about is Dawson's Creek. We are getting towards the end of season 4. Tonight we're going to talk about episodes 19, 20, and 21. So let's just dive right in, ladies. Y'all ready?
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right.
I'm pumped.
Cindy's always pumped.
She's not pumped. She's texting with her mom. Get off your phone. We're doing a thing here.
She's asking me very important questions for a friend.
Okay, for a friend. Very, very well.
For a quote unquote friend. She's like, my friend
wants to take a shot of whiskey. What's the best one?
Water whiskey.
All right. Episode 19 was called Late. So this is late and on many levels. First of all, Gail is late. She has a couple of labor scares.
Because the episode opens up with with her going into labor, and my first thought was like, oh God, not a fucking labor episode. If I had to rank from my least favorite episode, like, you know how like all TV series they like take segues into different types of episodes, like a dream episode, flashback episodes. Labor episodes are in my top 3 least favorite. Number 1, flashback episodes. I hate them. Number 2, dreams. And then 3 is birth episodes.
I thought the Friends Phoebe labor episode was pretty good. That was funny.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either, but I bet you I didn't like it.
Did she have twins?
Triplets.
Oh, yeah. But she was carrying them for another couple.
She's carrying her brother's babies.
Right. We're not here to talk about Friends.
No.
We're here to talk about Dawson's Creek. So yeah, she goes into labor and they go to the hospital, and her doctor, I guess this is her doctor, is very condescending to her and is like, oh, everything's fine. I'm going to go to dinner with my husband now, and you should do the same thing. And then she's like, what's the baby's name? And they're like, we haven't picked a name yet. And she's like, oh. And then she's like, I'm going to write you a prescription. And the prescription was name your baby. And I'm like, what? That's none of your fucking business. Like, it's like they'll name the baby when they're fucking ready. And she's not even you're telling her, like, go have dinner with your husband and don't worry about the intense pain that you're in because you're not really in labor. But really, you need to focus on the baby's name because you're a horrible person. You haven't picked one out yet.
You can actually not name your baby for like 3 years. They won't even know.
I think legally you have to give the baby a name.
Yeah, but you
they
could
need like a social
not
security
refer to
card.
them as any. I mean, it's like a dog for like the first 2 years. They don't know. Just like you have time. I
mean, not a lot of people, but some people don't name their baby until after it's born. They just, maybe they want to get to know the child first.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, this name fits this person. You can't just name something you've never met. It's weird. Yeah. So I was like, what? That's gross. Like, mind your own business, lady. Your job is to get the baby out. Let's let them handle the rest of it. Yeah. So then, Gail decides she needs to have like
instead of like a traditional baby shower, they have a baby naming shower. So they bring all the ladies in.
And ladies meaning all the teenagers in Dawson's Creek.
Right. Like Gail doesn't have any adult female friends other than Grams and Betsy.
Bessie.
God, I fuck it up every time.
Did you write it down as Betsy?
I didn't write it down at all.
Going off memory here.
I don't remember anybody's names. I've been watching this show for like 4 years. Yeah, so, and the rest of it's just like the teenage girls. And Mitch and Dawson are there. And I don't know why they can't participate because this is literally Mitch's kid and Dawson's sister. But they don't get to participate in the naming party. For some reason, it's like a chick thing. And Mitch is like, oh, Dawson, let's get out of here before the vagina monologues start.
That really was it was a turn off for me.
Yeah,
me too.
Like, so sexist. Like they're literally these people came over and brought food and they're gonna name your baby.
And
for
one
you.
of them is carrying the child and has had it in her stomach for 9 months.
Yeah,
and this is how you're summing up this little party that they're having.
Right.
This is the vagina monologues.
Yeah, like, oh, chicks are gonna fucking chick. Let's get out of here before it gets too chicky. And let's go sit in a treehouse and like suck on cigars that we're not actually gonna light.
Although, to be fair, I would have much rather have been hanging out with the boys, smoking cigars, than doing what the chicks chicken out. Because I don't care about baby namings and the showers, and like it's not the chick's fault. They're just like doing what society has told them that you do, like the ceremony surrounding babies. But I like the dude ceremonies surrounding babies.
Well, didn't you want to talk about Mitch's monologue?
Well, yeah, he sits down with Dawson and they're off to the side of the shower, hanging out on the dock, smoking cigars.
It's like some weird treehouse.
Yeah, they're like in a treehouse or something. Or like
maybe that was like Dawson's childhood treehouse or
platform.
something.
A tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mitch is like, he's like, let me tell you something, Dawson. Having babies is awful. It's terrible.
He said it's hell.
It's hell on earth. And then he was like, he basically said, I don't like babies. I don't like them. I don't ever want them. And then he said, you'll never love a baby. Like you'll never love your child.
Well, he
but
said
then he
no,
goes the way,
no,
I know, the way that the woman loves the child, but then it hits you one day and the baby calls you daddy. And I'm like, kids don't start to speak until they're like, I don't know, 2?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
So it takes a man 2 years to like love his
right.
child.
It's so narcissistic because he's also like, I'm not acknowledging this child until it acknowledges me.
Yeah.
And
that's
then,
fucked up, Mitch.
And then I'm interested. And I'm like, Mitch, you're an evil piece of shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Mitch?
Also, I have one more thing to say about the baby naming shower.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bad at naming things like pets, even coming up with a title for something that I wrote or whatever, like summarizing something in a word. And I was like, if I ever did have a baby, it would be named something like, because I only think in terms of pet names. So it would be named something like Mochi or like, or Chunk.
Chunk.
Or Chauncey.
Chauncey. Tofu.
I'd be like, that's cute. And Mochi.
Name your kid Tofu.
Yeah.
But I'm always just thinking like dog names. What do you name a child? I don't know.
A human name. Katie.
Gross.
I mean, I had my pet's name before I saw him. I had Murphy picked out already. I knew I wanted.
Murphy, stop. No,
Speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil. Yeah. Murphy's mom was found abandoned on the street, and the person who picked up Murphy's mom was a client of mine, and I said, if there's a boy in that litter, I'll take him, because I already knew I wanted a dog named Murphy. So the other reason this episode might be entitled Late is because Joey is late. She has not gotten her period.
Yeah.
Kind of took me by surprise because she seems like such an anal, organized person. I was like, she's been having sex without condoms? Like,
yeah, she's real
that seems
type
weird.
A, but maybe they were, and she's just worried that one like broke or something, or a single sperm
made its way
out of the barrier and
yeah, so she's
her
like,
vagina.
Yeah, so she's like stressing out because Pacey's away, which I was confused about because I clearly forgot what happened in the previous episode, which I guess Pacey, when he went with Drew to that bar, had gotten arrested for drunken disorderly conduct, and he actually went to jail. And so Pacey's brother Doug and his dad like took him on some camping or fishing trip to kind of scare him straight or something. And Joey didn't really know where he was. And so she's been like trying to get in touch with Pacey, and she's just like freaking out. And she ends up like telling Gretchen, because Gretchen's like, just give Pacey some space. Give Pacey some space. Like, stop being so selfish. And Joey's like, Gretchen, I'm late. She's like, oh, okay. I'll tell Pacey as soon as possible. And so she's like emotional all throughout the baby naming shower. That's when Gail goes into labor for the second time, but it's also a false
alarm?
Thank you. Yes, false alarm.
Words.
Come on, brain. Think of things. Be over smart. It's like a TikTok thing, I think.
But also, like, Joey, she's been encouraged to go ahead and take a pregnancy test because she can't get in touch with Pacey. She wants to talk to him about it, but like, it could be a false alarm, and she could just take that pregnancy test, and then if it is a false alarm, she could just let it go.
Yeah. Instead, she like gets in a fight with her sister and like tells her sister that she's like the worst person in the world, and that she's just has a terrible life. Instead of just like simply taking a pregnancy test on her own in private and figuring.
Yeah, I mean that's the first thing you do if you're late and really concerned.
Yeah, you figure it out, and then if it comes up positive, then you're like, all right, I'm gonna go get a second opinion from an actual doctor or the clinic or something,
and then I will tell.
Yeah, then I'm gonna
my partner and figure out where to go from there.
Right. But instead she's just like, oh, I haven't got my period in too much. I need to like mope about it and make everyone around me miserable.
Pout.
And like try to get in touch with my boyfriend that's unavailable and like make him miserable about it too, even though it might not be anything at all. And it might just be, I'm late.
And her sister, Bessie, the cow, at the naming party, at the naming shower, Bessie was like, yeah, they were talking about, I think, how they came up with Joey's name or something.
Right, yeah.
And she was like, yeah, and then you came out and you had that classic Joey Potter pout. And I was like, of course she did. She came out of the womb with a fucking bitch face.
Yeah, the resting bitch face.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, it turns out Joey's not pregnant. It was a false alarm. Pregnancy test came up negative.
Surprise.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, well, she does it, and then she looks at it, and she, like, gives a little smirk, and she's like, oh, all right. Everything's good. And then, of course, Pacey calls her, like, 10 minutes later, and he's like, what's up? I heard there was an emergency. You're trying to get in touch with me. I fucking drove for 3 hours to get to a payphone. And she's like, everything's fine. How are you?
I thought there was a problem, but
there's not.
There isn't.
Everything's cool. And then she's like, what's up with you?
She's like, how's the fishing?
Yeah, how's your fishing trip? I know it's not a fishing trip, asshole.
Yeah, she said, how's the fishing trip or wherever you're at? I think she said something like that.
And then he was like, it's fine. Everything's cool.
Everything's going great.
And then she
caught a 90-pound something or other.
Yeah, and then she was all like, oh, you're lying to me. But she doesn't say that. She's just like, rethinking my whole life right now.
Because we're both lying to each other.
Yeah, because we're both lying to each other about stuff. Okay. Well,
Love
bye.
Bye. So I think the most like real world situation that happens in this episode happens to Toby. Toby is Jack's new friend. And they've been doing this like after school tutoring program, and Jack shows up late. And so at the end of the night, he's like, as, repayment for being late or as my own punishment, I'll stay and clean up and lock up. So Toby heads towards the bus station, and you see a dude, like Toby, like passes by one dude, and there's already a dude sitting at the bus stop, and Toby just is making small talk with him. And then you see that guy who's sitting down, like the other guy that Toby has just walked past, and they jump him. And so
I didn't know that's where this was going at first. I thought it was going to be revealed that Toby is like buying drugs in private.
I saw exactly what was happening. I knew that this was going to be the gay bashing incident.
Yeah, I picked up on that too.
Yeah.
like,
I guess all I think about are drugs. So I
well,
was
yeah,
like,
because,
oh,
because he
Toby's gonna get some
passes
stuff.
one guy and they kind of like brush shoulders and the guy like gives him a dirty look, but Toby like either doesn't notice or doesn't care.
Right. Yeah.
And then walks to the other guy and he's like, "Oh, cold night. I guess the bus is late."
right.
And then the guy at the bus stop like
signals to the other dude like, this guy's gay. Let's jump him.
yeah, this guy said, "No, the bus is late." So that's like it's a signal, it's a code
Mhm.
Yeah.
for I'm homo.
Yeah.
Don't ever talk about the bus with anybody while you're at the bus stop.
Never.
Yeah.
But then is that in this episode where the next day in the tutor class, Jack comes in? That's the next episode?
No, I think it is in this episode. Jack goes to Toby's house because he didn't show up for tutoring.
Yeah, but in the tutor class, like, of course they show the black kid who needs help learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Jack asks him, like, where's Toby? And he's like, I don't know. He hasn't shown up or he hasn't been here. So Jack then goes to Toby's house and Toby, like, doesn't want to answer the door. He's like, I've got the flu. And Jack is just really persistent until Toby finally opens the door and he's on crutches and he has a black eye and a scrape on his face. And Jack is, like, insisting that he report the incident to the police. And Toby doesn't want to because he, and maybe rightfully so, is like, nothing's going to happen. No one's going to take this seriously because I'm gay. This happened to a gay kid, so nothing's going to happen. And then Jack, again, being persistent, takes it upon himself to bring back, I think he brings back a school police officer.
Yeah.
Like, not the actual local town police, but a school.
He almost acted as like a counselor.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
something.
And
A mediator.
right. Yeah. But he's in a police-ish uniform.
Yeah, it's an interesting uniform.
Yeah.
I feel like
he looked more like a security guard than police.
Yeah, I feel like the people in charge of the like in the costume department, they just found something real last minute.
Yeah. I mean, this looked like a Party City police costume.
Mm-hmm. I was expecting him to take all his clothes
Yeah,
off.
it's like a stripper cop outfit. But yeah, he was supposed to be like the youth officer or something, whatever that means.
Yeah. And he just runs off some stats to Toby about, the likelihood of something like this happening to you because you're gay and the likelihood of this happening to a straight kid, like, these are the reasons why you should report this. So Toby kind of relents. I think he does officially decide to report it.
And Toby's whole monologue, I mean, this whole scene was actually pretty impactful. Because I feel like I watch most of Dawson's Creek and I'm either laughing at parts I'm not supposed to laugh at, or, yeah, it just goes over my head. But I was actually, kudos, Dawson's Creek, for this whole, like, scene and issue.
Yeah, it was a PSA that was woven into the narrative, especially when they gave off the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that was probably the most important part. If we're going to take any, like, real life lesson or real life morals from this episode, the most important issue out of this episode was the gay bashing incident, and Toby kind of mustering up the courage to report it. And so I don't know how this episode ends. Oh, well, so the third time that Gail goes into labor, it's the real deal this time. And so I think maybe one of the final scenes of this episode is everyone at the hospital meeting the new baby, and everyone's asking Gail, like, what did you name her? What did you name her? And she was like, I was
Mochi.
just telling her. I was just telling her to come out and everybody's ready to meet you. And she was saying this name, I assume during labor, because this was the story that Bessie had told about Joey, that their mother was just like saying, okay, Josephine, it's time for you to come out. Everybody's ready to meet you. And so Gail did the same thing, but was calling out Lillian. And Lillian is Joey and Bessie's mother's name. And so, of course, it was like really emotional for Bessie and Joey. And they're like, oh, Lillian? You named her after our mother? Sniff, sniff, tear, tear.
Full circle.
And again, Mitch didn't get any say in this, but Mitch also doesn't care.
He doesn't give a shit. He's not even going to love this
He's
child
like-
for at least 2 years.
He's like, fuck you, Lillian, until you can talk and acknowledge me.
Until you say the word daddy, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, you're not my yoblum.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're on to episode 20 called Promicide. It was a promicide, y'all.
Yeah, that's prom mashed up with the word suicide,
Oh, I thought
homicide.
homicide.
One of those.
Because 2 relationships got murdered in
Right,
this episode.
but there was also some social suicide that happened. Maybe.
Oh yeah, some social
Yeah.
suicide. Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was all those things mashed into one. But it was a lot of people ruining prom for other people.
Yeah.
Why? Can't you wait until the day after prom to break people's hearts? Just wait
No.
one more day.
Has to happen at prom.
Let people have their fucking prom, people.
So I think very on par for Cape Side because they're on a Cape Side to have their prom on a boat, some sort of small yacht.
Yeah.
It seems kind of cool.
Yeah, except for the fact that you're trapped out there.
You remember when we had our party on a boat when we were all working for TripAdvisor?
I didn't feel trapped.
I didn't feel trapped at that party.
Yeah, but we weren't. Yeah, or we weren't there with dates.
True.
Nobody was breaking up with us,
True.
Yeah.
and we were also adults. So we were drunk.
And we were drinking.
Yeah, so we were like, yeah, we're wasted.
Party on a boat.
Time flies, and then we got off the boat, and they're like, "Oh, you guys hungry? Because here's a candy truck. Because you guys need sugar right now."
I
that
remember the candy truck.
Yeah.
It was fun. That was a fun party.
That was a fun
It
party.
was kind of like TripAdvisor prom.
But this was not a fun party.
No, everybody was miserable. Not everybody
was miserable.
Well, no, Jen sort of orchestrated that Jack and Toby would go to prom together. Like she tricked them into going to prom together. Basically, like told Toby that like Jack really wanted to take him to prom. So then Jack felt obligated to take him to prom. But then in retaliation, Jack was like paid or was gonna pay. Drew, thank you. I can't remember anybody's name. Drew.
Now you know how my mom feels.
Yeah, she calls me Veronica. Pay Drew like $50 to take Jen to prom, and so Jen had to go along with this. So it's Drew and Jen and Jack and Toby and Dawson and Gretchen and Joey and Pacey. There, I did it. I did all the names.
did it!
Yay, snaps.
I did all the names. So those are the 4 couples.
Those are the couples, yeah. And Pacey tries to organize everything and like get the corsages and like order the limo. He kills the corsages and the
Everyone's
limo.
like, you're supposed to put it in the freezer, Pacey. And he's like, I didn't know. Actually, I didn't know that. I was like, oh, I guess that's good
if you're
information.
You're going to get the corsages and the boutonnieres the night before. Yeah, you just put them in the fridge until you're ready to go.
You've ever been to the flower shop where the flowers are in a
In a
refrigerator?
refrigerator?
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, if you're
Anyway, I learned something.
Oh,
And
good
everyone
for
was like
you.
ganging up on Pacey. And I'm like,
Good for you.
I'm 37 and I didn't know that. So everyone relax.
wait, you didn't get your prom date a boutonniere?
What's a boutonniere?
It's just like when
Boots?
you pin the rose on their lapel.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I guess my mom made me do things and then I did it, or she just did it for me.
Your mom did it for you. That's why
Yeah.
you don't know these things.
And I guess his mom got a corsage for me.
Probably.
And my mom got,
Yeah.
The boutonniere.
yeah, for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So those
Because
things,
I have zero recollection
right.
of
So those
any
things
of this.
lived in the refrigerator before you exchanged them with your date.
Okay. The
And
more
then
you know.
And then so the limo that Pacey rented.
It looks like the Ghostbusters
yeah, it was
car.
It was a really vintage style, but really crusty
airport limousine.
It said airport service limousine on it, but it was pretty crusty and like crunchy and just old.
It was a rusted out white limo, but not a stretch. I mean, it was a stretch limo, but more like a bus because there was multiple doors with verticals. It was a passenger van essentially.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
driver had like long hair and he was wearing a t-shirt and he had like
and
a big
shorts.
belly.
Yeah, he was really kind of.
I bet is a fun guy though. Like I'd love to have him as a limo driver. I bet he's got stories.
He's probably also got a bunch of weed. He didn't offer the kids any weed though.
So they get to the prom and it's on a boat. Cindy, you've mentioned this before we started recording, but talking about like where we all had prom.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got thinking about it and I was like, of course, the most Baltimore thing in the world. We had our prom at M&T Bank Stadium, and that's where the Ravens play. So of course we had our prom where the Ravens play, and of course everyone was really into it, and we got to like walk on the field for a second, but it was like a big banquet hall overlooking the field. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
I would be more excited about a prom at a stadium than where I had my prom, which was like in the W Hotel attached to the Galleria Mall. We couldn't even go into the mall.
What the hell?
I know. In general, both my proms were pretty fun and uneventful. Like no major drama like what happened in Dawson's Creek.
No, everything that happens in Dawson's Creek is completely unrealistic and doesn't align with my experiences in high school, like at all.
Yeah. And I don't even remember like drama happening around me at prom. Like I remember prom just being a lot of fun. Like everyone having a good time. Like
I remember it being like boring.
Victoria, what was your prom like?
I don't remember.
I don't remember at all.
I don't remember where it was. I have a notion that it was in my high school cafeteria, and I'm probably misremembering, and it could have been at the Roanoke Civic Center.
Yeah, they usually have prom in an outside location.
Yeah,
like
and junior prom happens in school, but senior prom is a big to-do. No recollection at all.
She's shaking her head no.
No.
Were you high?
Maybe.
Is that why you don't remember?
And I do remember going to a park afterwards with my date and like making out on a picnic table, but that was it.
On a picnic table.
Right. But I don't remember the actual dance itself at all.
And that is not because of drugs. That is just because it was uneventful.
A million years ago?
Yeah, because it was 1,000 years ago.
Did you like get dressed up and tell your parents you were going to prom, but you ended up like not actually going to prom, but just like partying somewhere?
Wait. There was an after prom too.
Oh, it's coming back. It's coming back.
No, there was an after prom. I remember that because there was like games and stuff. I'm gonna have to. You're gonna have to
do some research.
I'm gonna have to research my own fucking existence.
All the details that I remember from prom, I remember because of photos.
See, it's not just me. It was just a really long time ago. I'm gonna have to look. Maybe it's like in my yearbook or something. I think I have my senior yearbook.
Oh yeah, there would have to be photos in your senior yearbook.
All right, I'm gonna when I get home, I'm gonna look this up because now I'm concerned about this giant gap in my memory.
This should really be bothering you.
Well, this prom was super dramatic. What do we want to hit on first?
I would like to hit on the fact that the first part of this entire episode gave me a lot of PTSD flashbacks because first we're in Jen's room and there's a huge Prodigy poster on the wall. And I was like, I'm the fire starter, twisted fire starter. And I was like, oh God, that music video just used to horrify me. I'd have nightmares. So that was flashback number one. Number two was when they're all trying on their prom dresses and just the overall style of all of the dresses. I was like, bleh. That gave me flashbacks in the worst way. And then, Gretchen applying for the job in Boston and just job application processes now give me like...
They trigger you?
Yeah, it's a very traumatic experience. So the first half of this was like, all the buildup was very traumatic for me and triggering. I almost had to turn it off. I was like, I don't think I can do the podcast this week.
You would have missed a lot of stuff.
I know.
Well, so what happens everything is kind of happening simultaneously. So I don't really remember the order of things, but like Jen gets super drunk and she starts to pull an Abby Morgan and she's on the edge of the boat. She's climbed up on top of something.
But before that even happens, when they're getting ready to go and they're all taking photos and stuff before the prom, she tucks away in a corner and pulls out one of those like mini bottles of vodka, and I was like,
she has like,
there's my girl.
she
I
has
was like
20 of these mini bottles in her
and I was like,
purse.
that's the Jen that I want to see more of.
Because they initially presented as like, oh, here she goes again. She's got a problem. But I'm like, she's got one airplane bottle of vodka. Like, that's like 2 shots. She's fine. And so she like took a little sip and like winces because she's never had vodka before. And
it's cheap vodka. It tastes like shit.
yeah. And then once she's on the boat and like kind of wasted, and then Drew approaches her and he's like, all right, give me the vodka, and she just hands it over, and he's like, well, that was easy. And she opens up,
pulls out
her
another one,
tiny little purse, and she's like, I've got like 11 in here. And I'm like, there's
What are you, Mary Poppins,
Yeah,
bitch? You have a whole like lamp post in your fucking purse.
like, why didn't you just get like
a handle?
not a handle, but what is the flask size bottle, like a 5th or something?
I have one in my bag right now.
Okay. Like,
that's how you do it.
Like,
Consolidate.
yeah.
And it fits. It has that nice curve in the back, and it
Right.
just slides perfectly into
yeah,
a
she
purse.
could have put it. She could have tucked that 5th of vodka like
In a garter.
In her garter.
Yeah, that'd be pretty badass.
Yeah, and then
I
she
mean, she
would
didn't have that big slit up her dress too. She could have easily accessed it.
Right.
Mhm.
So why would she put like, and then she's walking around all night with a tiny little clutch with like 20 airplane bottles in it, and they're not clinking around. I guess it's plastic bottles maybe,
I
but I'm like,
guess.
there's no way you fit that many
No.
airplane bottles of vodka in that tiny little purse.
And she must have, at this point, when she's on top of the boat, she must have already had like 15 of them or something, because she is wasted. And she's just
wasted.
giggling, and she's like, and she's like, I'm queen of the world. And I was like, dude, you gotta fucking like bring it down a little.
Yeah, you're like, Jen, be cool. It's like
Yeah.
you've never been drunk before, and I know you have. So be cool.
And she's just giggling like
Yeah, she's like
maniacally.
she's like a mess because she like, and this is all because she confronted her father in New York, and she didn't like.
The result.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's it.
she's medicating herself with vodka.
At
And
prom.
Drew actually was like, once he saw how dire the situation was, because she was talking about ending it all, and she said disappearing forever by jumping off the boat into the water, he kind of like pulled through. He like manned up.
Yeah, I think he like, yeah, I think maybe this is supposed to be Drew's redeeming moment where he's like, oh, Jen's actually like in crisis, and I shouldn't be a dick. I should actually be a compassionate human being and try to be her friend and whatever.
For one episode.
Yeah.
Only.
And she almost like falls off the boat, and like somehow miraculously Drew catches her before she actually falls and hits the water and brings her back on board, and they fall on the deck.
Well, I think weren't they recreating the scene from Titanic there a little
And I
bit?
thot they were, because she said, I'm queen of the world.
Practically the same thing happens. Like, what's her face falls over, and what's his butt?
What's his face and what's his butt?
What's her face and what's his
You
butt?
know their names. I don't.
Jack and
Jack and Rose.
Yeah.
Rose.
What are the actor and actresses' names?
Kate
Leonardo
Winslet
DiCaprio and Kate Winslet.
Yeah, them.
What's his butt and what's her face? You know.
You know. Everybody knows except me. 'Cause I can't remember.
You don't even know if you went to prom or not.
I don't know. It's been a long weekend, guys.
I think Titanic came out in 99.
Okay, so that tracks because this is 2001.
Mhm.
So,
And that movie was massive.
It was massive.
for
huge.
like
Believe me.
years.
That's
Years.
actually-
Did you
that's
guys see it
actually-
in the theater?
I mean,
Yes.
that's
I saw
the
it, like,
one and
twice.
only movie that I've seen multiple times in the theater. I saw it 3 times.
what? It's a 3-hour movie.
I know.
Dude,
Yeah.
I saw
That's
it
how
twice.
That's how much I loved it.
What the first time I ever went to see it, I went with my dad, and I started crying at the scene when Rose lets Jack go, and I was like, Jack.
I think.
Jack!
I think.
But I couldn't let my dad see me cry. Like, I can't be vulnerable like that in front of my dad. So I was like, pull it together, Cindy. Pull it together. I think my dad like fell asleep or something during that movie. It's long.
It's a 3-hour movie, man.
I remember that scene too. I probably also cried, but I also remember in that moment being like, "There's plenty of room on there on that thing for Jack too."
That's like the biggest
I know.
Titanic controversy of all time.
I know, but it's like a total meme now. But I'm like, but why did he have to die? It was a desperate situation. They couldn't like spoon on top
Yeah.
of that like wood plank. Like they could have
because
clearly she loved her own life more than she loved
her space.
Yeah. Well, that's how I am when it comes to like night time. I need the whole bed.
Yeah, but
don't even
not
try
if
to
your
spoon.
partner is gonna die.
No, maybe even then.
Oh my God.
I need my space when I sleep.
Poor
Don't
Ben.
touch me.
Yeah, poor Ben. You're like, oh, you're dying? Well, I really need my space.
I can't sleep if you're like touching me.
Yeah, I know it's just for one night until we get rescued, but
I'd be like, this has been a really, really difficult decision for me to make. I mean, don't think I didn't give it plenty of thought, but you're going to have to die. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna need you to go ahead and die.
But really, I like gave it a lot of thought.
She gave it a lot of thought. The other big dramatic thing that happens is Pacey and Joey. Pacey has been like pulling away from Joey.
He's been acting real weird.
He hasn't wanted to be intimate with her. And
she's been like trying to get it in.
She's been trying all night at prom.
Even though she just got over a pregnancy scare, keeps going up to Pacey and being like, babe, let's fuck. And he's like, ugh, I'm like busy doing something else. Like I can't right now.
So is this before or after he sees her dancing with Dawson?
No.
The blowout was after.
Okay.
What prompted it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
he was having all these feelings. Like we got wind that there was an ish. And she got wind that there was an ish, which is probably why she was throwing herself at him, because being like, oh, there's a problem. I sense him pulling away. And that's what people do. And they're like, oh, you're pulling away. Let me throw myself at you further. Let me smother you, which is probably going to have the opposite effect.
Like Joey and Dawson end up talking. Like Dawson can see that Joey's upset. And so he goes and talks to her about it, and they end up dancing. And then both Gretchen and Joey come back onto the dance floor, see them dancing. Of course, Pacey's really upset, and Joey's like, you better not be upset that I'm dancing with Dawson. Like, that's her face. It's like, are you really going to get upset about this? And
then he goes off the rails.
Like, so much so that, like, people stop dancing. The music stops.
Yeah, the DJ was like
screaming at the top of his lungs at her in front of everybody.
And it was some gaslighting bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't feel good about myself because of you.
Yeah. Basically saying like, I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be the man that you want, that you want me to be.
And he's like, I saw you two dancing and I realized I don't even care. And I don't care about you. And I don't care anymore. And then he like went off into his whole gaslighting. He
didn't care so much that he cared enough
to scream,
to rip her new one during prom on the dance floor. And then he says like, he was like, oh, when I'm with you, I don't feel like I'm good enough. And like, this isn't good enough. And that isn't good enough. And she was like, I don't care about those things. And he's like, but I want you to care. I want you to care. So I'm like, well, what are you saying, Pacey? Like, she's telling you feel like you're not good enough. And she's telling you you're fine. And then he's like, but no, I want you to tell me that I'm not good enough. It's basically what he says. So it's like, what do you want?
Isn't that the gaslighting, part of the gaslighting too? He's like, basically like, putting it all on her. His
feelings, because he feels inadequate. This is her issue.
Right.
When she's never done anything but like be happy to be with him.
Well, yeah, she's a
pouty bitch, but
yeah, I mean, she has been really nitpicky and kind of a pain in the butt. So not that she deserved this.
But I don't think so about Pacey though. Like, she's nitpicky and a pain in the butt and like a sour faced bitch to like about everything else, but when it comes to Pacey, she's like, I don't care about this stuff. I don't care about like where you think you're going in life, and she's just like, I love you just as you are. And what he hears is Joey is saying, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough for her. I don't deserve her.
He's just like causing a scene.
Yeah, I mean,
over this a major scene. Like, I don't even think I actually watched, like I listened to it, but I think I had my head in my notebook because I was like, man, this is cringy. This is cringy TV right now.
So, but I hardly ever root for Joey, but in this instance, because she was like, he goes on, and then she's like, are you done? And he was like, oh no, I'm only getting started. And she's like, well, you can stop and you can go to hell.
I know. I liked
And
when she
like
said
storms
go to
off,
hell.
and I'm like, yeah, you're right, Joey. Fuck you, Pacey. Fucking asshole. Right in the middle of goddamn prom on a fucking boat. Nobody can go anywhere, and now you made an ass out of yourself. Go sit in the bathroom for the next 3 hours. So mad.
So super dramatic breakup happens. But then also Gretchen dumps Dawson at prom. It's like none of these people could wait. To your point, Victoria, none of these people could wait till after prom or the next day.
And Gretchen is savage.
Yeah.
In how she does it too.
So she basically like, you know, after this fight with Pacey, Joey, you know, walks away, and Gretchen's like to Dawson, she's like, yeah, go after her, go talk to her, see if she needs anything. And so Dawson does, and then, you know, Dawson finds Gretchen after he has his little chat with Joey, and then she's like, oh, you know, you chased after Joey, and he was like, you fucking told me to, and we're friends. And she's like, I know, but you know, it just further makes me see how our lives are just moving in different directions, and you're never gonna stop chasing after her, and we're just two different people, and we're going in different directions, and we're done now. And he's like, we're right now on the boat? And she was like, yeah, and like walks away. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, the Pacey blow up was an emotional reaction that shouldn't have happened, but it happened when it happened because it was emotional. But she sat and thought about that and decided that that's what she was going to do. She could have waited for tomorrow.
Yeah,
she could have done that. She could have been like, "Hey, can you come over to my house for breakfast?"
Yeah, when people could have an escape plan,
right?
Instead, they're all stuck on a boat,
and she just ruined his prom.
Why she ruined his one and only prom?
Why the Whittakers got to be ruining everyone's prom?
The Whittakers?
Isn't that their last name? Pacey
Witter.
Witter.
Mm-hmm.
Witter.
Yes.
God. Witter.
She can't get first names or last names right.
I don't
know.
I don't know anybody's fucking name. All I know is that Gretchen has big tatas, and she looks like she's 35, even though she's like 22.
Yeah. So while Gretchen and Dawson's breakup was less dramatic emotionally, it was still a breakup at prom on a boat. I agree with you. She definitely could have waited until they were off that boat. Even if she wanted to do it the same night, like do it at his fucking doorstep where he could just slam the door in her face or something.
Right. He could go in and like cry into his pillow, instead of having to be like spend the rest of the next few hours on the boat being like, I just got dumped at prom. Like that, it was savage. They were both savage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's how she said it. She was like, I'm done with you. This is over.
It's way harsh, Ty.
Way harsh.
We had one good thing happen at prom. Toby and Jack. So Toby and Jack have been just sitting at a table all night talking and laughing and really like getting along. And maybe this has been their first time to really get to know each other because it's just the two of them. And then Toby suggests that they go and dance. And Jack kind of loses it a little bit. And he's like, Toby, I told you that we're just friends, just platonic. Like, I don't know why you keep insisting that we're more than just friends. Like, meaning like dancing is going to change their relationship somehow. And so Toby gets really pissed off and he was like,
it's like Footloose.
Is it really?
Well, dancing is illegal. And Jack's like, I can't dance with you. We can come here together, but no dancing.
So Toby storms off because he's like, this is your issue. This is your problem. So basically like when you're ready, you know where I am. And so
on the boat, I'm like right here,
somewhere on this boat.
I'm not getting off anytime
far.
soon.
Mm-hmm. So Toby is like out on the pier or some area of the boat. I don't know boat language.
Pier of the boat.
I don't know boat terms.
Yeah, I don't know boat terms either. He upstairs. He's like upstairs on the deck.
On the deck. Oh, on the deck.
Yeah.
There you go.
The lanai. Right? What's a lanai?
I have no idea. I don't know what that word is. I mean, I've heard it, but
I've heard it on the Golden Girls.
I thought lanai was just kind of like a fancy word for the patio. So anyways, Toby is on the deck, the lanai, the pier, the whatever.
The pier. It's a floating pier.
And Jack comes out and he kind of just expressed to Toby, he's like, my feelings have changed. You know, I realized that
I was being a jerk.
That I was being a jerk earlier and that I like you.
And I was afraid of that. That's what he was saying.
And, yeah. Okay.
That scared me.
And then and then they lean in for a kiss. And
Ooh, I wrote down, yes, Jack and Toby kiss with like 15 exclamation marks.
Happy day. So I have mentioned this before, that while I don't remember anything about this show, there are like 3 or 4 major things that I do remember back in the day. And one of them was Jack kissing a boy, because it was a big deal, gay kiss on primetime TV. But this is actually Jack's second kiss on primetime television. But this is the kiss that I remember, because if I close my eyes and I visualize this memory of Dawson's Creek, I see Jack and I see what I guess now is Toby being in suit jackets. And so this is the kiss that I remember. And maybe because it was a prom episode, his first kiss was a little like anticlimactic. But this kiss was a mutual kiss.
Yeah, they both wanted it.
They both wanted it. Yeah.
Bad.
And so I think this is why this is the kiss that I remember. So while we had a lot of drama going on, we had one good thing happen out of this prom. I mean, Drew and Jen, like nothing happens between them, but maybe just
we see a soft side,
a softening between those two.
And I still haven't decided if Drew is attractive or like really ugly. Every episode when his face pops up on screen, I'm like, what do I think about him?
Yeah, I'm the exact same way.
Is he hot?
I'm the exact same way. No, I'm right there with you. His looks are jarring.
He scrambles my brain.
Yeah,
I don't know what to think.
His looks are jarring to me.
My brain gets scrambled like eggs every time I see him on the screen. I'm like, ugh, ugh.
So, I mean, I think that's basically how the prom episode ends, right?
Yeah, very depressing.
My last note was prom was miserable for everyone except Jack and Toby.
Yeah, they had a good old time.
Yeah, they
had a gay old time.
They had a happy ending.
They did have a gay old time.
They did.
So episode 21 called Separation Anxiety.
Before we get into this one, I just have a very, very important question to ask.
Okay.
In the opening scene, they're all in the cafeteria, and Jack is drinking Dasani, you know, the water.
Out of a can.
Out of a can. Does anyone remember this? I do not.
I slightly remember it, but I feel like I only remember it as something I saw on TV. Like, I don't remember seeing it in real life, like when I would go to the grocery store.
But we should be having water in cans. Like, we don't need plastic. No more plastic.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's a very good idea.
Yeah. Victoria's like currently Googling.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. I mean, it's a product that exists, but I was surprised that it existed in 2001. The thing that they have now, and what they sell even beer in, like in sporting events when they don't want to have glass, is the metal bottle.
Right, yeah.
So it's not a can. It's not a pop-top can.
You can still put the lid back on.
Yeah, but it's an aluminum bottle that you can screw the lid back on, and they sell beer in it, but also water now because they don't want glass at sporting events or parks or whatever, because it creates a hazard when it breaks.
Broken glass everywhere. If it ain't about the money, Puff, I just don't care. I just threw it back to 2000 and... what year did that come out?
We don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, what song is that?
It's the Puff Daddy and the Family. Wait.
I mean, I'm sure I know it.
And now I forget the song title.
I heard the whole song, but like I don't recognize it off that lyric you just dropped.
Hold on.
Ari Melber from MSNBC would know that line probably.
I'm sure.
He's a big old hip hop head.
Was he the cute one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ari Melber.
Can't nobody hold me down.
Okay.
Can't nobody take my pride. It's Mace. It's Mace.
What year?
And
Mason. Well, yeah. P Diddy discovered
97.
Discovered.
So
Mace.
that's a little predating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
DC.
threw it back.
Hell yeah, I
You
did.
did it.
I'm always throwing it back. My whole existence at this point, I'm realizing, is a throwback.
90s hip hop.
Except for your prom, where nobody's throwing it back to that because we don't remember.
We literally have no idea if we even
remember
attended.
Random song lyrics from 1997.
Well, so can we get into episode 21 now? Did
Yes.
that answer your question?
We don't have an explanation for why they had canned
Victoria-
water in 2001.
Victoria was able to confirm that Dasani does exist in a can. Like it's
But I do not
thing.
remember that
No,
But
in school.
I don't know. It wasn't offered in my school in a can. It was probably offered in the plastic bottle, but I feel like I do remember seeing it. Like I said, but
in
probably
the world.
only in television. Yeah. Pacey also was drinking like a Country Time lemonade in another scene.
I loved Country Time lemonade.
I thought that was like a
And the iced
powder.
tea.
Oh, it was actually in this episode.
There was.
Well, I remember getting that. So when I went to summer camp, that was a big thing. If your parents sent you a care package, you would get like some kind of powdered beverage
For like a liter of water, or
right,
like a
yeah,
pitcher.
you get like a huge canister of it with a little plastic scooper and to like mix into your water bottle so that you would have like a sweet beverage. It wasn't Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. Oh my god,
It wasn't Crystal Light.
I'm
It
about to
was the
deep throat my
opposite.
mic right now thinking about Crystal
It
Light.
was the opposite
So
of Crystal
horny.
Light. Really?
I was not a fan
I
of Crystal
loved
Light.
it.
No.
I actually, maybe I should get some.
I feel
Do they
like
still
that's
make
something
it?
that you and your mom did together, the Crystal Light.
But she's like, I don't want to drink all this sugar, and I definitely never drink water. So we're gonna get some Crystal Light, and it'll make the water taste good, and it don't got no sugar.
All right, so that's what I'm saying. You and your mom together, Crystal Light.
You guys weren't. It was not a Crystal Light household
No.
for either of you.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
Mm-mm.
I love those powdered drinks.
We had orange juice from Concentrate and Pepsi.
I was
Oh,
gonna
we
say,
had soda,
We had
for
Dr.
sure.
Pepper in my house and Kool-Aid.
Oh, we never got Kool-Aid because Kool-Aid felt too like white trash, and we were like very affluent Dundalk people, so we got Crystal
Wait
Light.
a minute. If anybody in this room is white trash, it's Cindy.
We were high class. Listen,
High class drinking that Crystal Light.
Kool-Aid was way too like lowbrow.
Anyway,
That was really a tangent that we took.
Who are you people? What are we doing right now?
Episode 21 called Separation Anxiety.
Oh.
So,
Oh,
so why is this called separation anxiety? Because I mean,
Because
it's
everybody
most-
broke up, and then they're
is it
pretending.
because everybody broke up?
and then
And the future.
and then they're pretending to get back together.
Well,
But
so we started. I mean, Cindy's question, which kind of painted the picture of the opening scene, was Jen and Pacey in the cafeteria.
Jack.
And then Drew. Oh, Jack. Oh, Jack. Jen and Jack. Oh, Jack was the one drinking the Dasani out of the can. I thought it was Pacey.
no, it was,
your spinny wheel was spinning
Yeah.
so hard right now, and then it finally stopped, and you're like, "Oh, right,
Yeah.
right."
It was
I
the
had to-
group of people who
I had to do a reboot.
you did a reboot.
Yeah. And then Drew shows up with their senior yearbooks. And then they open it up right up to the superlatives page because the class couple is Joey and Pacey. And being the really great friends that they are, they take bets on which couple is going to get back together. So is it going to be Gretchen and Dawson? Or is it going to be Joey and Pacey? They all put their money on Joey and Pacey getting back together. And so again, like, why is this called separation anxiety? I mean, I feel like the biggest thing is for the name of this episode is the fact that Gretchen is leaving. She's packing up her shit. She's going to take a 1 month long road trip. She's decided to go back to college. She didn't get that
Because she
job.
didn't get the Boston
She didn't
job.
get the job in Boston. So she decided to go back to school, and she's going to leave early to take a road trip and take some summer school.
Dawson finds out about this not
From his
because she
mom.
told him. Yeah, because they're not speaking.
Right. Well, because they
Since-
broke up.
Yeah, because she was a savage psychopath on the boat. So he finds out because Gretchen put in her 2-week notice or whatever at the job.
But what is the time that's elapsed from the time that prom happened and everybody broke up to like this episode? Like
I assumed a week, 2 weeks.
Oh, I didn't even assume that. I thought
Yeah,
I thought a day.
Yeah, I thought it was like prom happened on Saturday and this is Monday.
Right. Yeah.
You guys are probably right. I was just thinking a normal human time.
No, I think
DC time is way shorter.
Yeah, no, well, it's teenage time and teenage time. So they're like, we haven't spoken since we broke up at prom 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So Gretchen, like I said, Gretchen is just like packing up all of her shit.
So did Gretchen even put in a 2 week? Or did she put in a day?
Her mom just said that she put in notice.
So we're still on DC time. So she's like,
tomorrow's my last shift. I'm working like 2 more shifts and then I'm out of here.
Yeah. And Dawson's really upset because Gretchen didn't tell him. Dawson's mom has this brilliant idea of like, well, why don't you get her to sign your yearbook? So he shows up at the bar.
He didn't want to do it. And then he ended up doing it.
Yeah. So he shows up at the bar with his like little yearbook underneath his armpit. Just kind of walking in with it. And she's there like cleaning up the bar.
She's like, oh, hey,
oh,
you.
Hey,
yeah.
you.
Hey, you ex-boyfriend from 2 days ago.
And so Dawson's really, really like kind of miffed that she didn't tell him. And he's like, I was going to ask you to sign my yearbook, but I guess not. If you weren't going to tell me you were leaving.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was like, were you even going to tell me? And she was like, well, I was thinking about not and just leaving. And he was like, fine. And like turns to walk away. And then she was like, but also I was like thinking for days about how the right way to tell you. And I just didn't know what it was. And then he was like, oh, okay. Will you sign my yearbook? Will you sign my yearbook? And
but don't just write, have a bitch in summer.
Yeah. So she's like, all right, but can I have some time with it? And then he's like, all right, here's my yearbook. Don't fucking leave town with it, bitch, because I only have one fucking yearbook.
And don't spill your crystal light all over it, asshole.
So I guess the other piece of separation anxiety is Pacey and Joey. Joey is back at the yacht club. She's like getting ready for dinner. And the dude from Worthington College, where she's about to start school, shows up. And I guess there's another party going on. And this dude is like, are you going to bring that wonderful boyfriend of yours? And she's like, well, things have situation has changed. We kind of broke up. Like it takes her forever to get it out.
And I don't even think she said broke up. Did she?
Did.
She did.
Yeah,
she finally got there.
Yeah, it took her a while. I was like, girl, just spit it out, man.
Yeah, this guy doesn't actually care.
Yeah,
just say it.
Yeah, he's an adult man and he doesn't give a crap about your teenage relationship.
Your high school relationship.
Like, we're not dating anymore.
Yeah.
End of story.
And so the dude is like, oh, okay, well, I was talking with the dean of admissions and, we have a proposal.
An opportunity
that we'd like to talk to Pacey about. And so she gets really excited. And then she runs right over to Pacey's house and gets him all excited about it.
I was excited about it.
I was excited about it too. But at the same time, I was like, wait, he is still technically a junior. Like, there's no way that they could offer him admission.
Joey phrases it, and we're all led to believe that there's some kind of like special needs program that they're gonna like let
the losers in.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we've got a quota to fill of like underachievers, and I'm like, that's not actually a thing. Like, why would they let him in? He's like not passed any of his classes,
and he just got arrested. Like a week ago.
Got arrested. Like, yeah, but we're led to believe that there's some kind of special program for which he can get in for like special needs white bros.
And blue collar bro program.
Where they let underachiever blue collar bros into college on
blue collar white bros,
no merit whatsoever.
So they show up at this party and Joey is kind of led off to mingle with other incoming students, and Pacey and this dude walk off and they meet up with the dean of admissions. And what it turns out to be is they know that Pacey's a sailor, and they offer him a position to be a deckhand on the dean of admissions yacht for this summer.
It was sad.
And Pacey's heart is broken.
My heart was broken.
Yeah, it was kind of sad.
It was sad.
I feel like dude should have disclosed that from the beginning. Being like, oh, we've got a summer job opportunity.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not a need to know type of thing. Like he could have told Joey
right
beforehand.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like he could have been like, oh, bring your boyfriend. We've got an opportunity for him from the dean of admissions. Like he let her on. He should have been like, the dean of admissions is looking for help on his yacht this summer. He could have like laid it all out, and then she could, especially since she told him that they broke up. So then she could have been like, oh, he's not interested, or I'll let him know, and if he's interested, he'll come, and if he's not, then he won't come to the party.
Yeah, it was a total tease.
Yeah. And then they were like, you want to fucking work on my yacht? And Pacey's like, my life is...
You want to be my summer bitch?
Yeah, my life is falling apart, and I need a boost to get out of the hole I've dug myself in, and you just want me to like swab the deck for the summer? No thanks.
No, thank you. Although he probably should just do it.
I mean, they even said right up front, like, the pay's not great.
Oh yeah, there was that.
I was like,
man, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
It'll be a good experience.
What?
He already has the experience.
Yeah, he's already done it on his own. He already did it for free.
He sailed the entire world.
Yeah, why would he?
On his own.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're going to let him into college, there's no reason for him to do it.
Yeah.
No.
But he might actually have to get a real job because his sister, who's apparently been paying most of the rent in their beach house, is taken off.
Yeah, so what's he going to move back in?
No, he's like,
we don't know.
6 weeks away from being homeless.
Yeah, she's paid up the rent for the next month and a half or something, and then he's got to figure it out.
Yeah, and he's like, cool, thank you. I'd be panicking. I'd be like, oh my God, I got 6 weeks and then I'm going to be homeless. I mean, he could just live on this boat for the summer if that would solve that problem if he needs.
Temporarily.
I mean, we'll see, because he didn't say yes or no.
I can't wait for the upcoming episodes.
The dean of admissions is like, take some time to think about it. Pacey's like, okay, thanks.
I would have a full-on existential crisis after that conversation if I were Pacey. Like, that would be the thing. That would be when I flipped out in public. That conversation. I'd be like, oh my God, fuck all of you.
Right. Because it also shows how, I mean, he's also a teenager, but it's like he's probably wants to think that maybe he's having a crisis already of like his own self-worth. And then this person has just confirmed, oh, your worth is deckhand.
Yeah, they validated.
Yeah, they're like, you are the help.
Mm-hmm. Blue collar bro.
Right, blue collar bro. And there's no special program
for
blue collar bros.
Never has been, never will be.
No, we're offering you a charity job that doesn't pay well. Meanwhile, your ex-girlfriend is hobnobbing with the academic elite, and then he's like, yeah, and they, you know, when he picked her up to bring her to the party, they were like, I miss you and I miss you too. And then she like wanted to kiss him, but they didn't kiss. And then, so there's like a contemplation of getting back together. But then he like sees her like, you know, happily talking to all the other incoming freshmen and having a good time. And he was like, no, like I'm holding her back. I'm holding her back. And he is. I hate to break it to everybody involved, but and I'm like,
no.
Well, he.
I mean, that's what I wrote in my notes. There's just a sad face because I'm like, it's sad, but it's the reality of the situation. And they have their little teenage loves, and it works when you're in high school, but you know, they're about to enter the world where things get infinitely more complicated. And these two,
one is a loser and one is not.
Right.
So what's that going to look like into adulthood?
It's not going to work. He's right.
He's so smart.
Gretchen is also right.
Yes. Well,
she didn't do it very well, but she's also right.
So this whole time, Gretchen has been packing up her shit. Pacey's been fixing up her car, her truck. And Dawson, like, his dad has a conversation with him about life and going after things and, like, not having any regrets or whatever. And so in Dawson's head, this gives him the green light to
show up at Gretchen's front door as she's packing to leave and to push himself onto her and be like, you know what? I should just go with you on your trip that you're doing for yourself before you have like a lot of work to do. I should just go with you like the whole time. And I know I don't have a job and I don't have, well, he does have Brooks's money. And I can't contribute anything to this. And if we break down, I can't even get us help. So we'll just be like stranded. Like I've proven that I'm totally incapable of like being an adult and getting us help, but I'm going to go with you on this road trip.
That's a good point. They did that little trip and he's got Brooks's money and they got a flat tire and he was like, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're just staying here.
Yeah, and the guy wanted
indefinitely.
like $60 or $80 or something, and he couldn't cough up the $80, even though he's like sitting on like $100,000 or something.
Yeah.
Dawson,
And
why are
he
you
was
being
just
so
like-
cheap?
He's cheap, but also he's just like dumbfounded as to how to take care of a problem. So he's like, oh, I guess we're just living on the beach now. I guess we're stuck here forever. This is our life now. This is what we're doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, he took no consideration for Gretchen when he invited himself on this trip. Gretchen like feigns excitement or feigns, you know, desire to have him join her because she agrees. She's like, yeah, that'd be great. Let's do it. And it seems slightly genuine, but you could tell that she was like, no. I mean, like I said, she ends up agreeing to allow him to come on this trip. He's back in his room and he's figuring out how he's going to tell his parents in the form of a letter. And he's having trouble writing this letter.
This is another issue.
To his parents.
Yeah, you're gonna bail on your parents with a letter? Like, I think that's a conversation that you should have with them to their face.
Absolutely. You just leave town and leave a letter?
Yeah, they just had a baby, and you're just gonna Dear John your parents?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't ever fucking do that.
Don't do that.
And he was like feeling guilty because one of the things Gretchen said, she's like, you know, you shouldn't leave. You have so many exciting things coming up. You have your graduation. So I really think his parents would be understanding, like if he really sat down and talked to them, like, hey, I know graduation's coming up. I'm going to miss it. Doesn't mean I'm not graduating. Just I'm going to miss the ceremony. But I really feel like I want to do this trip and like have this experience. Maybe they'd understand it. But to just leave a note is fucking rude.
Yeah.
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 I mean, he's leaving a note for Joey too. That's understandable. That's fine because they're not together.
Yeah.
But his parents.
So if I ever did that to my mom, she would be so pissed, but also so worried.
You should probably call the police and report you missing.
Yeah.
Like you got kidnapped or something. You had to leave a note to be like, I'm going to
do this thing I've never done before, and this is very outside of my personality.
I'm going to Arkansas for this summer. I've made my mind up. Don't follow me.
Yeah, this is like a Dateline episode.
Yeah, and then
this was a Dateline episode that I watched recently.
What?
Where like some girl was kidnapped and they found a note that was supposed to be from her because it said dear mom and dad, but she had like weird names for her parents. She didn't call them mom and dad, but it just had one line that said like, I'm struggling right now. I need some space. And they were like, this looks like her handwriting, but this doesn't sound like her. Like, this is not something.
It's out of character.
It's out of character. This is not how she would say this if she were going to put it in letter form. And it turned out she was kidnapped and like killed. She was murdered.
See, Dawson, this is why you don't do this.
Dateline
existed in 2000 and
oh, it did.
Oh,
yeah,
hell yeah.
For sure.
It's been on for like 50 years.
Yeah, I've been watching Dateline since I was a kid.
Oh my God, I watched I am caught up
on Dateline.
I'm caught up on every recent episode. I recorded on Hulu and then I watch it at dinner.
I do get really
it's
sad.
My dinner. It's my dinner content.
I do get really sad when there are no more new episodes of Dateline. I'm like, what? What am I supposed to watch?
But there are. Don't you follow it?
I do, but I'm just saying like
She's caught up.
I'm caught up on the new episodes.
I hear you.
So like I kind of build up a bank of episodes. Like I won't watch it for like a few weeks. And so that way I can just kind of like binge a few episodes. And then I just get really upset when
No, it's very sad. And like the Keith Morrison episodes, that's where it's at, dude.
They should only have him do it.
I agree.
No one else.
He's always so poetic with his like intro and his storytelling and stuff.
I mean, he has such great tone and inflection.
And they always put Keith Well, he's always in like his blue jeans and like a tucked in shirt, and they always plop him in the weirdest locations. They have him like in an alley, like in a very dangerous alley, but he's always like leaning up against stuff in his blue jeans and his tucked in shirt, and he's like he's always like, the sky was red that night, as he's like leaned up against this graffiti alley wall.
I am getting to enjoy Dennis Murphy.
Oh, I like Dennis Murphy.
I like Dennis Murphy. Andrea Canning is actually the woman that I don't really enjoy. But Dennis Murphy's great. And Keith Morrison.
Keith Morrison, hands down,
is the GOAT.
Yeah.
He is Dateline GOAT.
He's cool as fuck. Did you know that Keith Morrison is Matthew Perry? It's his stepdad.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. Ben
Wow.
taught me this
I
information.
did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that being your stepdad? Fucking Keith Morrison.
That would be awesome.
That would be so cool.
I would love that. So where were we?
Yeah, what are we even talking about?
I don't know. It's getting towards the end.
We branched off.
It's getting towards the end of the episode
Yeah.
where we drift and we're like,
And we're so far out. We're talking about Keith Morrison.
all right. I'm gonna reel it back in.
Let's reel it back in.
Here's the other storyline that's happening in this episode.
Okay, good. I was going to move on too.
Let's move on. Grams is supposedly selling her house, the little house with the screened-in porch on Dawson's Creek, the actual creek, not the show.
Yeah, they've never said the name of this actual creek.
It's Dawson's Creek.
In Cape Side.
It's Cape Side's Dawson's Creek. Anyways, the creek, the little where everyone the creek where people put in their rowboats and their canoes. She's selling the house in order to pay for Jen's college tuition because Jen refuses to take blood money from her dad, or pedo money from her dad, and
yeah, it would be pedo money.
So
God, I shouldn't laugh at that.
Yeah, you really threw your head back in laughter.
So
Forgive me.
she learns this, and because there's like a real estate agent, she comes home one day and there's a real estate agent showing like a youngish couple the house, and this real estate agent lady has on a really bad wig. And
I noticed that too.
I didn't notice her hair.
Oh my God. I was like, why did she even need to wear? I mean, maybe she has alopecia or something, but they could have found a better wig.
It was the worst wig,
Jesus.
curly red wig that they could have put on this woman. So she's showing the house, and Jen's like, what the fuck? Or who are you? What are you doing in my house? And
Yeah,
then
because they're like, we can blow out the whole wall upstairs. And
Jen's
she's like, that's my room.
That's my bedroom. What are you talking about? So then Grams is like, oh, I'm moving to like Shady Pines or something, except it's not Shady Pines. It's something else. I forgot what they call it. And and they go to visit Shady Pines, and
It's like, what was it? Beacon Hill?
yeah, some retirement community, gated retirement community. And the old lady security guard is like really rude and abrupt, and like it's not Graham's style because she's, you know, polite Southern woman, even though they live in
She's a God-fearing woman. So.
right. And so that, yeah, this woman was just like really abrupt and she wasn't into it. And so Jen's like, oh, well, then I'm not going to go to college then. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to save. I'll live at home for 2 years and I'll go to community college and I'll save money and you don't have to sell your house. And that's what's going to happen. End of story. And then she tells all this to Jack, and Jack's like drinking.
What the fuck are you talking
yeah,
about?
Jack's like ignoring her and like fussing with his beverage or
drinking
something.
his Dasani water from a can.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Are you even listening?" And he's like, "Yeah, I hear you, but let me just unpack what you just said. And what I'm hearing is that you're just afraid to go away to college, and you're afraid to leave your Grams, and that's fine, and you don't have to leave Grams, but you know, but also you should just go away to college and let Grams do what Grams wants to do, and
yeah, like maybe Grams wants to go into a smaller home. Maybe
Yeah,
she wants to consolidate
Her husband died. Her granddaughter's going off to college. Now she's like alone
in this big house.
big fucking 4-bedroom house on the water.
Yeah, she wants to downsize. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe she wants to be in a community of other old ladies so that she can make some friends or something. Because right
Yeah.
now all of her friends are like teenagers and Gail.
Yeah.
And
Well, and then like the stress of taking in a teenager in her retirement years.
so eventually, what Jen settles on is she decides that she does want to go away to school in Boston now, not New York, because in the last episode she was like, I don't want to go back to New York. New York is like nightmare fuel for me.
New York is toxic for me.
Yeah, so she's like, I'm going to go to Boston.
Drew said this one thing about Boston. He's like, Boston is like this really cool up and coming like city. And I'm like, yeah, Boston's always been Boston. Like, what the fuck are you talking
like
about?
Up and coming. Like, Boston's finally coming into
Boston
its
is like one of the first cities that have ever been officially
in existence
in the U.S.
Yeah,
it was like
States.
One of the first settled cities. It's like a historic place. And Drew's like, yeah, ever heard of it? Boston.
So apparently Drew is going to school in Boston and Joey's going to school in Boston. And now Jen is thinking about Boston instead of New York. But I thought that Jack and Jen were going to be roommates in New York. And did that change to Boston? Like, she decided she didn't want to go to New York. So he's like, I'll go to school wherever as long as we can be roommates.
That's what he said in a previous episode. I mean, Jen has always been, since college has been in the discussions, Jen has always been kind of against New York. Like, she has never wanted to go back there. But that's always been Jack's position, is like, I'll go wherever you want, basically, as long as we can be together and we can be roommates. Or, I mean, there's no co-ed rooming going on in college, but basically, like, if we can be on the same campus together.
Oh, I thought they were getting like an apartment or something.
I mean, maybe they will. We don't know.
So anyways, my point with all that is that I think, I don't know what's happening with Dawson, but I get the impression
they're setting it up.
They're setting it up that everybody's going to go
to the same college,
to this up and coming.
Yeah. Or even if they're going to different schools, they're all going to be in Boston
together. Yeah. Something's going to happen with Dawson where he
because there's a lot of Boston talk
where he flips the script and he's gonna dump UCLA or whatever,
University of South Carolina, with their highly acclaimed film program.
USC, right? Yeah, he's gonna dump USC and end up in Boston with everybody else,
right? And so yeah, the college years, I think, are all going to happen in Boston, which to our point from our last podcast episode, we were talking about like how they were going to handle 9/11, and I'm still curious about how they're going to handle 9/11. But it seems like no one's going to be moving to New York City, so it's going to be a footnote. But it also makes sense because they're in New England, so they're like, oh, they're living in Podunk, small town New England, to go to school, and now they're all going to college.
In the big old city, Boston.
They're going to move to the next big city, Boston, because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And like Boston was up and coming in the 2000s. It was like the hip place to be.
Right. It was nothing before.
No, before the kids of Cape Side.
Right. It was nothing.
Went to school there.
Yeah.
Potentially. I'm predicting that's what's happening next season. So eventually Jen tells Grams, okay, here's
the plan.
Yeah, here's my solve for this problem. Instead of you selling your house and living in Shady Pines here in Dawson's Creek, in Cape Side, I know the name of the town.
Instead of that, you're still going to sell your house, but you're going to move to Boston with me.
Right. And then I'll still have you there for when I feel like it. And when I don't, I won't. You won't be there. And I'm going to go to college and I'm going to drink some more and bang a bunch of random dudes, and then occasionally I'll come over to your house
for food and laundry.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can, and she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, I don't know, you figure it out. And Grams is like, oh, okay, I'll think about it, maybe. Yeah. So apparently Grams is also going off to college.
Yeah. Grams is not going to make it in a big city.
No, she's an old lady. I thought Shady Pines looked just fine. I know that the woman
was a bitch.
And the guardhouse is a bitch, but hey, guess what? It's inevitable that you're going to encounter bitchy people when you leave your fucking house. It just happens. I mean, all of Cape Side is a whole fucking town full of assholes. So what's new? But once you're an old person and you're in there,
you need some rules.
Yeah, and then
because these old people, they be wilding out.
Yeah,
they be wild. They be turned all the time.
Well, right, but she's gonna turn it up with her new friends in the community. She's not gonna be
now. Now she's gonna turn up with
a bunch of college kids. She's going to continue to be friends with college kids or high school age kids instead of adults her own age.
I'll be really interested to see how they're going to weave Grams into the college scene when we get into those years of Dawson's Creek.
She's gonna move to Boston and then she's going to die. Poor Grams.
R.I.P. Grams.
Circling back to Gretchen and Dawson. So Dawson shows up to Gretchen's little beach house and she's already left. She leaves the yearbook on her porch with her letter the letter that she's written in Dawson's yearbook. And
a photo of them.
Oh, and a photo of them. Okay. And she's just like, I'm thankful for our relationship. You've opened up my heart again, and I'll never forget it.
And then at the end, she said, "Have a bitch in summer."
God, it's the worst way to end a love letter.
Well, it's a throwback or a callback.
Yeah, she was trying to be funny.
Yeah, because remember when he came into the bar, he's like, "Don't just write 'have a bitch in summer.'"
She's like, "No, I'm gonna write. We're done for real for the second time. I'm dumping you.
Like I've told you.
Have a bitching summer.
Yeah,
a bitching
summer.
A bitching. Have a bitching summer.
Have a bitchin' summer."
All right, I will admit I missed that callback to their earlier conversation because I was like, God,
we just talked about it.
I forgot that too.
Oh my God. You gotta
all right.
Listen.
All right, so you don't
reboot the hardware once more because clearly
anybody giving me any more hard time about how I don't remember my prom. That literally
Melissa just forgot a conversation
that literally happened 25 years ago. Okay, I don't remember the one night prom night 25 years ago. So and you don't remember what we talked about like 15 minutes ago. So
Melissa's like, I missed the callback.
And then the episode just ends with Dawson and Joey dangling their feeties off the pier, talking about what they're going to be doing for the summer. Or like, so did anything exciting happen this weekend? I'm like, y'all just had prom. That happened.
You had a lot of drama like 2 days ago.
I think Cindy may have been right. I think maybe this didn't happen the following Monday, like maybe a week passed.
So yeah, so then at the end,
maybe more time passed.
So wait, prom happens in May?
Yeah, around that time, like right before graduation.
So I have something unrelated but related. I really, really have an issue with this goddamn show and the seasons.
Oh, I saw this happening in the episode and I knew you were going to say something. I'm surprised we haven't brought it up.
Well, I have it in my notes, but we were just like getting distracted from me and my notes. You guys distract me from my notes. Jen is sitting on the porch with Toby.
I knew it. I saw. Yep. I know
this
exactly
is in
what
May.
you're talking
It's
about.
before prom. She's trying to like get Toby or tell Toby that like Jack is really interested in going to prom with him. You can see their breath.
Yes.
So
like,
they may be
they're dressed as if it's like early spring. Like
they're
winter,
dressed appropriately for May.
Yeah, or like it still
in
might
New
be,
England.
It still might be chilly. Like we're still just inching out of winter, getting into spring.
You don't see breath,
but you can see like, and it's a lot too.
It's a lot. So they probably filmed it in the winter because they film in North Carolina, South Carolina,
North Carolina.
So they probably filmed in the winter or something. But like this whole show drives me crazy with like the inaccuracies of the season.
I will say this. When I graduated from college, this is Syracuse, so it's a little bit
cold up there.
It's a little bit different winter. But if this is supposed to be New England, this could be plausible because my college graduation was May 5th. And there was a snowstorm the day of, like early in that morning. Like sloshy, wet snow happened on my graduation day.
I'm just saying that, why didn't we see breath when it was supposed to be wintertime in Cape Side? Because in wintertime in Cape Side, the trees were like lush and there's Spanish moss and like green everywhere.
I'm just saying that for this particular episode, it could be plausible that in New England in early mid-May, we could still be seeing their breath. Like it could still be that cold.
That's
despite
true.
the fact that they're filming this in North Carolina.
I just have it out for...
But yeah, they're also, whatever month they were filming was not actually May. They just
no,
and we're not supposed to notice. And
I notice everything.
Yeah, I didn't notice, but you notice. But it's also, I mean, Whatever.
I
This
did
is a WB show.
I did notice that, and I just knew that like Cindy would say something.
I was so pissed.
I just thought of Cindy when I saw it happening. I was like, Cindy's probably going to want to mention this in the podcast.
And sure enough,
On cue.
I don't know. Just like, guy, I know it's a WB. I know the stakes are low because like teenagers are watching, but yeah, I don't know. Have some like self-respect as like content creators. Like,
Content creators. They're not making TikToks. They're making a TV show.
they might as well be. Jesus.
I mean, technically, it is content
Yeah.
for consumption.
Well, I can't call them filmmakers. What are they?
They're
TV makers.
TV
All
Yeah.
right. So, anyways, aside from that small detail, Dawson sees Joey sitting on one of the little piers behind her house or whatever, and she's dangling her feet and
He
pouting.
joins her.
And then they're both pouting together, and they're like, "Well, how was your weekend?" And I'm like, "No, whatever, you know." And she's like, "Yeah, mine too." And then she's like, "What are you doing this summer?" And he was like, "This." Scene end. And I just wrote a frowny face because this episode was sad, and I know that they're all off to bigger and better things, but you know, growing pains, that's what they're having right now.
Yeah, they are.
They should have called this episode Growing Pains instead of Separation Anxiety,
Yes.
because that's what it is.
Way much better.
They're learning that, you know,
Way much better.
way much better. So way much better. All right, are we done now?
Okay.
Wait,
Let's
I have to.
Wait, hold on. We are done now.
Okay, bye.
Let's make
No.
No, we're gonna do this.
let's make an official ending. Okay. I'm gonna have to try and stitch this all together. But anyways, okay. So that's how episode 21 ends. So next week we'll be coming at you hot with the final 2 episodes of season 4, you guys.
Coming in
Final
hot.
2 episodes.
Woo woo.
Are you guys excited? Episodes 22 and 23. So this has been Basic Teen TV. My name's Melissa.
Victoria.
Cindy.
Oh, Victoria, come on. Let's take 2.
Okay.
This is Basic Teen TV. My name's Melissa.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Cindy.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Victoria.